Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today I am going to be reviewing the Rokinon 85mm 1.4 autofocus. This thing is extremely new. If you are watching this sometime later, this thing came out in sometime late January, early February of 2019. I ordered mine at the end of February and got it on March 1st. I've been shooting with it just about every day just to get some good shots and see how it performs. In comparison to the Canon version and in comparison to the Sigma version, which I did rent, but I do not have those here today. I can give you some tips or some things to go on, but you'll have to make those comparisons on your own if you've ever worked with those lenses. So here's the box that it comes in. This thing is extremely well packed. When it came, I ordered it from Amazon.com. I have a link below if you want to try to get the same place, get it from the same place that I got it. However, there were no damages, there were no issues with shipping. When I took it out of the box, it was intact. It had everything. It came with the lens hood. It has a rear and a front lens cap. The autofocus is in the same place that it would be for a Canon lens. The dot is white, but it actually is in the same place that you would line it up to mount this onto your camera. And I'm shooting with a 6D Mark II. This thing does fit on the 6D Mark II as well as my ASP-C camera, which is a Rebel T6i. So it works with both lenses. The only thing is you got to factor in that crop factor with the Rebel T6, which makes it about 136mm lens. Extremely close. You can't really do much in a small indoor studio, but it still takes great portraits as well. Alright guys, so you heard me mention the front and rear lens caps. The only thing negative I have to say about this lens is the front cap. And that's because when I've been shooting, and I've been doing some heavy shooting in just about all types of settings so that I can see how this thing performs, this, with the slightest bump against my body or bump against my bag, this lens will pop off. I've had to backtrack in some grass areas where I didn't hear it hit the ground, but I knew it was gone at the end of the shoot. And in some cases, I'm glad that it makes at least some kind of sound when it hits concrete, because I almost stepped on it and I don't want it to be any more damaged so that it won't work as well. So I'm probably going to order me a second lens hood to replace this. Also, I'm not really set up to show you things like barrel distortions or solar flaring or ghosting or vignetting when you have it at certain f-stop settings. But I can tell you what I bought this thing for was to shoot portraits, powerful portraits, and it does extremely well. The Sigma version outperformed the Canon version in terms of Canon focuses a lot on its image stabilization, and they put so much energy into that they don't really get some of the things in a lens that you would want. I like to shoot at f1.4, which is why I bought it. I have an f1.8 again if I wanted to stop it down, but I'm not. With that, I can tell you that the Canon lens has dark corners when you're shooting wide open at 1.4. I didn't notice this on the Sigma lens at all. Sigma gave me a more sharp image. There was never any problems with dark edges that cleared up as you stop it down. So I was very satisfied. Well, the Rokinon lens will perform just as sharp or just as good as the Sigma Art lens. No problems with it at all. Other drawbacks I did see with this lens is the fact that it is a 1.4 and you just have to shoot in lower light settings. Otherwise, you're going to get some images that are just popping in too much light. So you want to shoot around golden hour with this lens. So this thing is 3.46 by 2.83 inches and weighs about 1.1 pound. But again, it feels a whole lot heavier when I'm holding it in my hand. I just like the way this thing looks on my camera. It's my set it on the table, leave on lens, because it just looks really beautiful. Just had to say that part. This lens has a hybrid aspherical element, and that's more so with image sharpness, decreasing aberrations and distortions. But it does have an multi-ultra coating, I believe it's called, and that is what takes away your flaring and all of your ghosting when you're shooting in sunlight. So the focus distance on this is about 2.95 feet, which means you don't have to get in somebody's personal space. And if you're taking portraits or some headshots, you can always get back a little. This thing is extremely sharp, extremely clear. You can zoom it in on your post-production. And you don't really have to do much editing. The color on this thing is extremely sharp. It's got 9 rounded diaphragm blades, which makes a beautiful bokeh. On the first time that I shot with this lens, which was at night, this thing, all of my lights in the background had a very round bokeh shape. But all of my images, with the exception of one in low light settings where I looked at the lights, they had that kind of football or oval distortion in its shape. However, again, that is not a drawback. The bokeh on this thing looks superb. And again, I have no complaints with it. So either way, rounded, football shaped, you can't really tell because you're looking at how much it makes that subject pop out when you're taking the picture. I've already told you about the focus distance. This thing is equipped with an ultrasonic dual linear auto-focusing motor. For the small films that I've done just to kind of see how it would work, I have not had to gate out or take out any frequencies where you would hear this motor. It's extremely quiet. It's extremely fast. I did not want the Canon 1.2 because of how slow it is as far as its autofocus, but this thing is really quick. And it does give you that customary Canon chime as soon as you hit your target, that chirp or beep that we all like to hear. So again, I'm sorry, I apologize. Do not have all of the elaborate things to show things like purple fringing, green fringing, any discolorations on lines, but I have not seen any of that with the images that I've shot. I've shot in studio, I've shot outdoors, I've shot in low light, I've shot in a lot of light, and these images are incredible. So what you really want to see is what I wanted to see is how does this thing perform. So I'm going to put a number of images up so that you guys can look and make a determination based on my shots. I hope they're good enough to give you what you need. And I'll try to have some links available that you can click on to either order or see where to get some of these deals on this lens. The Canon version was around, I think it was around $1,600. The Sigma Art 85 1.4 was somewhere around $800 or $900. This one runs in the $500 and $600 range, and it outperforms that Canon, hands down. So look at the images. Let me know what you think. If you like what I've done today, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. I'm going to try to do more as I get more familiar with this lens, and if they come out with another autofocus lens that is definitely going to save you some money, I will definitely put that in. If you have some questions, I'll try to respond with another video or a follow-up video to make sure that I can answer your questions if I have not already done so in this recording. Thanks again for tuning in, and here are my images.